It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and Jason, curious teenager, wandered through his neighborhood yard sale. Among old books and broken toys, he spotted a dusty old phone. It looked ancient, almost like something from a bygone era. The price tag read $5. Intrigued, Jason picked it up, not knowing this phone would change his life forever. He felt an odd chill as he held it, but shrugged it off. The woman running the sale smiled and said, "It never stops ringing, but no one can remember who it belongs to." Jason laughed, thinking it was just a joke. He paid for the phone and walked home with it. That night, as Jason lay in bed, his new phone began to ring. It was strange. He hadn't even plugged it in yet. Nervously, he picked it up. "Hello?" Jason whispered, unsure of what to expect. A raspy voice answered, "Help me." The line went dead. Jason felt a wave of unease, but he shrugged it off as a prank. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He placed the phone on his bedside table and tried to sleep, but sleep wouldn't come. The phone seemed to hum softly in the dark. The next day, Jason couldn't focus at school. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw a shadowy figure reaching out from the darkness. That night, the phone rang again. Jason hesitated but picked it up, his heart racing. "Who are you?" he asked. The voice was clearer now. "I am trapped, and you will help me." A cold shiver ran down his spine. Suddenly, he felt a heavy weight on his chest, as though something was pressing down on him. He couldn't breathe, but as quickly as it started, it stopped. Jason slammed the phone down, desperate to get away from the sensation. The next night, Jason was unable to ignore the phone's constant ringing. Each time, it felt like it was calling him, drawing him in. When he finally picked up the phone, the voice was frantic. "You must help me. There's no time." Panic gripped him. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" Jason demanded. The voice seemed to laugh, cold and eerie. "You've already made a choice. Now you must face the consequences." As the voice faded, Jason felt a chill that froze him to the bone. Something was coming, and he didn't know how to stop it. The next few days were filled with strange occurrences. Jason would hear footsteps behind him when no one was there, and whispers echoed in his ears when he was alone. His friends started to notice he was acting strange, but Jason couldn't bring himself to tell them about the phone. One evening, as he sat alone in his room, the phone rang again. This time, the voice was different, much darker. "You've awakened something. It won't stop until it has you." Jason froze. His hand trembled as he slowly placed the phone down, his mind racing with questions. What had he done? Jason's desperation grew. He researched everything he could about haunted phones and cursed objects, but the more he searched, the more terrified he became. No one seemed to have answers. Late one night, he found an old article about a similar phone, a cursed phone, that had driven its owners insane. The article mentioned a ritual that could break the curse. Jason's heart raced as he read, but the ritual was dangerous. Could he really go through with it? As the phone rang again, the decision was no longer his to make. He had to act fast. Jason gathered the items required for the ritual: candles, salt, and a piece of cloth. He felt foolish but desperate. As the phone rang, he lit the candles and began the chant from the article. "Spirits of the past, hear my plea," he whispered. The air grew heavy, and the room seemed to darken. As the phone continued to ring, the voice on the other end sounded different, twisted. "You can't escape," it hissed. Suddenly, Jason's room erupted in a deafening noise, and the lights flickered. He felt a rush of cold air surround him. The phone was more than just cursed. It was alive, and it wasn't going to let him go. The next day, Jason noticed something different. The phone no longer just rang at night. It rang all day, every hour, its incessant buzzing driving him to the edge of madness. When he answered, the voice had become more aggressive, demanding that he pay the price for disturbing it. His friends started avoiding him, sensing something was off. Jason couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. The phone was all-consuming. One evening, as he tried to destroy it, the phone violently snapped back together. No matter what he did, it seemed as though the cursed spirit was protecting itself, fighting back. As Jason's world crumbled around him, he received a message on his phone. It wasn't a call, but a text. I was once like you. I didn't know the truth until it was too late. The text was signed with a name he didn't recognize, Kara. Who was she? Jason began searching for any information on Kara, hoping she had found a way to end the curse. The more he uncovered, the more terrifying it became. Kara had been just like him, but her story ended tragically. She had tried to destroy the phone, but instead, it consumed her. Jason now realized that the phone's curse wasn't just about him. It had claimed others before him. As the phone rang again, Jason's hands shook. The voice on the other end was different this time. It was softer, almost pleading. You have one chance, Jason. One chance to break the curse. But the voice quickly twisted into something darker. You will never escape. Jason had to choose. Destroy the phone once and for all, or risk being consumed by it like Kara. But how could he destroy something that seemed to have a mind of its own? What if breaking the curse meant a far worse fate? He was running out of time, and every night, the phone's ringing grew louder, more insistent. Jason stood over the phone, a sense of dread filling him. The voice, now almost pleading, begged him to help. Help me, Jason. You are my only chance. But Jason remembered the horrors it had caused. The twisted nightmares, the whispers, Kara's tragic end. He couldn't help it. Not this time. He grabbed the phone and prepared to destroy it once and for all. But as he smashed it against the floor, something unexpected happened. The phone didn't break. Instead, the room went pitch black, and Jason felt himself being pulled into the darkness. Jason's body was paralyzed as he was dragged into the void. The phone's curse was now taking its toll. He felt as though he was losing his grip on reality, slipping into a world of shadows and whispers. Suddenly, he heard a familiar voice, Kara's voice. It's too late for you, she whispered. There's no way out. Panic set in as Jason realized he was trapped in the cursed realm, a place between the living and the dead. Was this the end? Or could he find a way to escape before it consumed him completely? Just as Jason felt himself giving up, he remembered something Kara had said in her messages. There's always a way out, but you have to be willing to fight. Determined, he began to struggle, pushing against the dark forces holding him down. With every ounce of strength, he broke free and the darkness began to fade. But just as he thought he was safe, the phone began ringing again. This time, Jason wasn't sure if he was ready to face it again. Would he fall into the same trap? Or would he finally break free? Jason held the phone once more, the weight of its curse heavy in his hands. The voice on the other end was calm, eerily so. You've done well to survive this long, it said. But the final test is yet to come. Jason realized that there was no escaping this. The phone would never let him go unless he made the ultimate sacrifice. He closed his eyes, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The phone rang louder, echoing through the room. What would happen when he answered this call? As Jason answered the phone one last time, he felt the darkness closing in. But this time, he was ready. With all the courage he could muster, he spoke. I refuse to be your prisoner anymore. The phone's voice cracked, its power weakening. With one final push, Jason shattered the phone, and the curse was lifted. The dark forces vanished, and Jason was free. But he knew he would never forget the haunting lesson. Sometimes, the most dangerous things are the ones we invite into our lives without realizing the consequences.